Hello everyone and welcome to the LightWave Digest special. Tonight we talk to Michael Wolf from db&w about his new tool VAI. The full episode with Michael Wolf will be released at a later date. Do not forget to like, subscribe, comment and share. Enjoy! And then you have a new product that you presented last week at FMX.
Yeah, that was the first time we revealed it to the public.
Yeah, so perfect. Take it away.
So the new product is VAI, which is Italian for Go. And it's a VFX asset inspector. So actually, let me just... Yeah, here we go. I wanted to show this one. So basically, the production pipelines are getting a lot more complex now than they used to be. Whereas, back when most of us started, you could, afford one 3D application and that was it, because it was too bloody expensive. Oh, yeah. And nowadays, you use like Houdini for Sims and Maya for character animation, and you mix and match depending on what application you need for which strengths you need. And the downside of that is that you need a pipeline where you transfer data from one application to the next all the time. And some file formats are better, some are worse. USD is making big strides nowadays, but still something like FBX is being used. Sometimes it's just an OBJ. You have different formats or an Alembic file, depending on the use. The problem is that you don't actually have like one single application that allows you to view your intermediate files. So USD, you have to use the USD viewer, either the one by NVIDIA or the one by Pixar. For an FBX, you have either the Microsoft 3D viewer or you have the one by Autodesk, maybe a third-party one as well. For an OBJ, there's like a third-party viewer. Alembic has its own viewer. Of course, for images, you need to use yet another viewer, but there's nothing that allows you to do everything at the same time. Or view all the different formats at the same time. So that's where we thought there would be a way for us to put our product, because one thing that we wanted to do is move away from developing plugins, because that means we depend on other companies. And as we have seen with LightWave,
yes,
not being developed for 3 years, that all of a sudden meant that, we basically didn't have a lot of income because nobody was buying plugins.
True.
Or there's a danger that you develop something and, you might be able to release it for a version or so, and then the developers of the host application say, hey, that's a cool idea, let's implement that. And even if their feature isn't as good as your plugin, you might still lose, half of the potential users because it's good enough for them.
Yeah.
If all they want is like a simple layered OpenEXR support or export, then they might not need the fancy one that the XR Trader provides, because they're using After Effects, and After Effects is a bit more limited in the import. And, then there's no reason for them to actually, purchase that if the built-in one is all they need anyways. So, yeah, we needed to regain independence. And so we thought, okay, we need a standalone application. And then the next question was, well, what can we actually develop being, a single small developer? And it had to be something in 3D. And then since I think in components, I was like, okay, what do I need for a 3D application? I need a viewport. I need some navigation tools. I need a user interface, of course. I need to be able to load and save stuff. And what's the least amount of components that I need to have an application? And that basically led us to a 3D viewer. That's the simplest thing you can do in 3D. So yeah, it allows you to load assets, FBXs, OBJs, USDs, and
LWOs as well, right?
LWO as well, even though, to be quite fair, I haven't really tested it that much.
You live in Stuttgart, right?
Yep.
And the FMX was where was that?
Stuttgart.
In Stuttgart.
Like
Okay,
15
wow.
15 minutes away by foot.
Oh, wow.
Just down the road.
Just strolling in there like you own the place.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Okay. So this is actually the application.
So this is the application, and this is an FBX, and you can play back the animation.
Cool.
Yeah. Still some glitches. And you have the ability to change the lighting that's being used, an environment map in this case. A few things that actually don't work in this build. And one thing that is fairly unique is that you can actually load multiple assets at the same time. So now I've got this Roman soldier, and bam.
All right, two different display pods.
That's super nice. That's really clever.
And to go one step further, I mean, you can dock those windows, whatever you want to do. Let me just load.
Yeah, I mean, probably a lot of people are going to multi-screen that as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let me just load the third
but
one.
on the demo, you have to just do it on one.
Yeah, Terrible Viking as well.
Nice.
And yeah, this is the FBX import, which is still not quite there. But the interesting thing is, I can also do things like activate an A/B comparison and see two meshes at the same time. And this could, for example, be the same mesh with different versions of an animation.
Yeah. Or maybe different shading or
different shading or whatever. And,
or different lighting
And different lighting.
Yeah.
And basically, compare them like an A/B comparison in Fusion.
Very nice.
Same principle. So, I mean, this is already something that nobody else does. And even like the multi-document interface where you can have multiple 3D assets open at the same time is also fairly unique. So one of the uses would also just be, to have something open on your second display just to reference geometry while you're, modeling something or whatever, and you want to check another asset or so without loading it into your main project.
Oh, wow.
So you just fire this up very, very small and light and neat. And just pop it open and go, all right, yes, there, and slide it along. I can change the lighting, go, yep, that's gonna work in my project.
And the interesting thing is that internally the whole thing is USD based. So the FBXs that you're seeing there are being converted to USD, and I'm using the Hydra USD OpenGL viewport to render it. There's also like a metal version, which we're not using yet, and also a Vulkan version.
Nice.
So we're basically automatically future-proof, which is nice.
Do you plan Linux as well?
We are planning for Windows, Linux, and Mac.
Okay, cool.
Actually, even in that order. So Linux first, then the Mac version.
There's no chance for an Amiga version?
No, I don't think so.
I have a question. Is it possible to, because right now you see this debug text or whatever you could call it. Is it possible to turn that off?
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
I just didn't do it earlier because there was some clipping issue, but it's working okay.
Yeah.
And this might not be available initially, but this is like the USD file that has been created, so you can kind of
the hierarchy and everything.
Yeah, this is currently basically for me for debugging purposes at the moment, but eventually this should be exposed as well.
Oh wow!
And
cool.
There will be. And what's interesting is that the user interface down here, that's being automatically created from the USD file.
Wow.
So, and even, which is quite neat, we have some preferences here. There we go. Which are super simple right at that moment, but you can also change the keyboard shortcuts and stuff. But even the user, the preferences are actually USD files. And the whole settings interface is created automatically from the USD files as well, which is fun.
It's so nice to see this, because the aesthetics of this reminds me a lot about the aesthetic of your plugins for LightWave as well. I mean, you have a very nice taste in
okay, thanks.
In UI.
Yeah, that was tricky because this was my first time really working with Qt directly.
Mm-hmm, yeah, okay.
And so my first custom user interface control that I wrote is the timeline down here. This is all custom.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow.
And there's many things we can add on top of that people will be able to vote on. That there's many different directions this can go. And the idea is to have something for single users, small studios, medium-sized studios, and basically we're looking at the VFX and the game customers first, and then we'll just see where it goes. Yeah.
I mean, silly question. Realistically, how big assets could you load in that? Or
I haven't actually checked, but very big.
Yes.
Something like Lucy, for example, which I only have on the NAS, which is currently turned off because it's a bit loud at the moment.
I'm thinking like there's that big USD scene that you can see for like some of the Pixar ones, like Under the Sea.
Yeah, the super big one, no. I haven't tried that one, but let me see. STL5, where is it? Stanford Lucy, I think, is the one I'm looking for. Stanford Lucy is 28 million triangles. That works without a hitch.
Yeah.
No problem.
Animated?
I mean, I don't know if anyone would want to try to even rig and animate that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
probably throw an animated displacement on it and bake out a cache or something like that, because you can load alembics and stuff like that as well in here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Silly question, because obviously I know very little about these things. That's got obviously the full rig thing. Is it possible to interact with the rig?
No, not at the moment.
No.
Currently, it's just playback.
Just playback.
Yep.
But you can, but obviously showing you all the elements and the in the components.
Yep.
Maybe do like you could do a LightWave style bone transparency thing, where it overlays it so you can see them in.
Yeah, the thing is currently all these shading modes are what Hydra.
The render delegate itself provides, so it might not be able to do that. It's a shame, because that would probably be a useful thing.
One thing we'll also be able to do is attach Hydra-based renderers. So you could have ray-traced version of this in your viewport. And also the next thing that I'm going to add, I already got the button for it, but I haven't added the code, is, for example, something like an automatic turntable.
Yeah, so just press that and then
it automatically rotates the mesh.
Oh, and if you did a rendering one, you could even do a automatically caching it to disk so that you can just save it.
Or to RAM. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, very good idea.
You're using Hydra right now, and
yes.
Is it possible to implement other render engines into this as well?
Well, that's the nice thing about Hydra, because other render engines can use Hydra to receive their data. It's what you call a render delegate. And for example, you have Arnold, you've got V-Ray, you've got some other third-party renderers as a Hydra render delegate. So it's like a target for Hydra. And for example, you have I'm not sure if this one works at the moment. No, it doesn't.
Oh.
But this is the Embry one, but it doesn't work.
The built-in Microsoft Ray Tracer.
But this is basically where you can select the renderer, and you can add more, and they should show up here eventually.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the Embry renderer is quite powerful from when I've seen it in demos. The only problem is, as we all know, demos and reality are not the same. The number of times when NVIDIA used to in the past years go, "Oh, this will be in the next game." It isn't. It still isn't. It's just too advanced or too fiddly.
Yeah, but I really like the overlay there, where you can actually have multiple assets and just look at, or and I'm thinking, if you want to see the same prop with the same shading in different lighting conditions, and you can just use that and overlay
Oh, you have the UV checker to check your UV maps, if that's okay. One thing I want to add is the ability to have like an image viewer, so you can see all the textures that are applied to an asset.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things. And what's currently not working is the matte cap. But I think that's some stupid bug right moment.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But you can apply a matte cap to the whole thing to check your geometry.
Yeah, you could do if you haven't got one of those, what do you call them, those shaders where it shows the curvatures.
Yeah, or that, yeah.
Like you know what I mean, like an instant angle shader, just so you can get like there's a bit of a wobble on that back quarter type of thing.
So there's certainly things to add that allow a more technical view of your geometry. And for example, one thing that would also be possible as a comparison is basically to subtract one alpha channel from the other. So you can just look at the difference in silhouette between two meshes.
Yeah. Yeah, silhouetting is very important in games.
Yeah. So yeah, plenty of ideas, and again, that's a nice thing about it. We can show, or we can suggest what we want to do next, because we can't do everything, and then we will have options like, okay, we can have like this shader, or we can have this silhouette thing, or we can have like a preset functionality. What would you guys like next? And eventually, we also want to move to a release cycle that's a bit similar to what Blender does, where we're going to have like a long-term version, which just gets bug fixes, and then like a current feature version, so that studios can rely on the long-term version for the next 2 years or so. They have a stable version to work with. Whereas, if people are a bit more adventurous, they have a version with the new features that we've just added.
Yes, or that new renderer that's a little bit wonky and sometimes crashes.
Exactly. Yeah.
But is very shiny, so everybody wants to play with it.
So yeah, there's a ton of ideas of what we can do, like VR, AR, yada, plenty of stuff.
No, it looks very exciting.
And also what's interesting is that we already have a scripting interface in there, which isn't Python. But almost every command here is a Lua command, like in Fusion.
Oh, okay.
Just because Lua scripting is super easy to implement. Python will eventually come as well, but not right now.
I think it something that's just simple to do. I mean, it would be really good to do like batches, like say you've got 50 game assets and you just want to go, right, we want to do a little turntable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we want to be, 60 frames, drag those 55 objects on it. It makes a little turntable of everyone. There's all sorts of little, which if you've got a good scripting interface would probably be relatively easy to do.
Yeah.
And you could probably do built-in ones that you can think of. It occurred to me as well, just looking at your little graph that you showed initially, where you didn't actually have the image viewer, but you should probably have that too.
Oh, yeah. And image sequence viewer as well. Yeah.
Well, it just made me think of I remember you did that really cool demo of the EXR with the depth pass. and you did, that would be really cool. So I'll just drag that into the viewer, and I can do a little quick spin turntable thing and go, look, there's the cool depth. Just automated, where you don't have to worry about the settings or anything. It's just like a dead simple viewer concept.
Yep.
I think that would be really good for people who will say, because launching things like Fusion or what do you call it? Nuke's massive. It's like a gigantic thing. If you can just quickly, right click on it, go load your little bit of software, and bam, you've got it coming straight up very efficiently.
So this is, for example, the scripting here, and as an example, I can open the About window using a script. So and then what's in the menu there, or what I assign to the shortcuts, is basically small scripts. And this is like my debug version, so I can actually see the USD file that I've created internally. This is just for debugging. It was super important to do, because
then you can read back what it's doing.
Yes, if it doesn't show anything in the viewport, how else can you see if it did something useful?
Yeah, because if you just open up the little debug and it goes, it failed on this line, right? I can try and work out what.
Yeah. It's and FBX is just a pain to import.
FBX, that's got to be probably the hardest one to implement.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But because USD is done with this in mind, whereas FBX is just terrible.
And it's also a moving target.
Yes. But the problem is FBX is a must-have.
Exactly.
It is.
100%. It is the thing that everybody will want, and it is the thing that you'll probably struggle the greatest amount with, because everybody does.
Wow, this is super cool, man. When can a person expect to be able to buy a license?
Well, the idea is that we do want to have like a pre-release version. So it's gonna be relatively cheap, as in maybe $100 or so for the pre-release, and then we will have to just polish until we are confident that we can now call it a 1.0.
Okay.
Which will be things like obviously FBX support. If the FBXs don't work the way they're supposed to, we're not going to call it 1.0.
Question. Silly question. Would you support something like a USD export as well?
Yes.
Right. Because it occurred to me, because FBX is so awful and inconsistent, if you can get it in and then just go, right, we'll just export that to a USD, which is a little bit less of a moving target.
The thing is, we don't need to export to a USD, because it's going to be a USD internally anyways.
Okay, so
everything we import is going to be USD internally.
So if you could say, like, you are having a problem getting your file, your FBX from X going into Y, you could open up in your tool and save out a USD. Which could be another potential, because of the whole problem.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Like, you might open it up and go, why is it everything flipped? Well, I'll just run a quick script that flips it upside down, make sure that it's correctly aligned in the access, save it out as a USD.
Yes.
That's
an incredibly sort of basic, because there's a lot of, it reminds me of things, like there's a bunch of image viewers like XNView and stuff, where they almost can do like basic editing things without being a paint app. You can import it as things, export it as other things, batching things, and it's this sort of idea, but for 3D.
Again, that will depend on what people want. I mean, one thing that I'm really interested in is turning it into more of a review tool, where people will be able to grease pencil over a mesh, or maybe even animation at a certain frame, at a certain position, and say, this knee should be changed. And then you can, the supervisor sends the project back to the artist, and you can open it in his copy of Y, and click on a list of changes, and then VAI just goes to the frame of the animation at the same angle and says, okay, this is where you want to change.
Oh, okay. So here's another question, because when we review stuff, we usually look, we actually upload to what was called Shotgun, that is now called ShotGrid, which is now changed to Flow. It's now called Flow.
Yeah.
Would it be easy? That's I still call it Shotgun. Anyways, would it be possible to actually integrate VAI into something like Shotgun?
I would. I'm not sure. But I'm sure that one can find a way to do that, yeah. And it's also one of those things, now, if enough people say this is important to us, then yeah, that's going to be the next thing on the list.
Interesting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or at least, okay, if I click on this link or something, it opens up VAI and it opens up the asset, and
Yeah.
Cool. Wow, this is super nice.
So yeah, that's what we basically. I mean, this is basically what we had to do.
Yeah, I understand.
It's the next.
I've been seeing little snippets of this over the years, and it's really coming along. From I made an interface, but nothing works. To it's got some really cool features. Definitely very cool.
Oh yeah, the initial tests were very, very different from this.
That is world premiere, not world premiere, but for us it is a world premiere of a new tool called VAI. We shall.
Well, I mean, not many people will have been to.
No, there was a handful or two handful of people. So
well, now more people can see.
Exactly. Yeah,
we'll get the word out.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
I mean, if you also can get like LWO support and that works stable, I mean,
it does support LWO 2. I'm not sure if it supports the latest version because I'm actually using a third-party library for that.
Oh, okay.
And last time I checked, it did crash, so I'll have to double check again. Maybe send them a bug fix or something. But yeah.
Yeah. Or just ask LightWave Digital, hey, can I please get, so I can implement, the number of times I have wanted to watch or look at a LightWave O file without having to open LightWave. It's because VAI opens really quickly as well.
Yeah. And the thing is, and surprisingly enough, LightWave isn't even that bad because you at least have an option to quickly open another modeler.
Yeah, sure, but then
in Max or Maya you don't.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
Yeah, that's and especially if you turn off the hub, so you use this then LightWave is super quick to open even now. So that's okay. Maybe.
Because once you get into the comparisons or things like that, it's already a different story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any possibility of it actually ever opening LightWave Scene?
I'll have to actually check if the library that I use supports them. It could be that it does. I don't know. I'll have to see.
It would be fascinating to see if you could do it as a quick intermediary. You could take a LightWave Scene, open it, and save it as a USD.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea.
Because currently LightWave itself doesn't actually do that.
That is true. Yes.
And if you were, and it supports loading the textures, etc., and you can export it straight as a LightWave, as a USD scene. That would be a really possibly a good use case for LightWave users.
Yep.
That's got a weird shader. I suspect that it's like it's an extreme value on the.
It could be the light. It could also be the shader. It's like default surface.
I think it has got like too much too high of a roughness or something.
But yeah, this is 28 million polygons.
Yeah.
Barely any.
And I think I'm frame capped here at 1,000 frames per second.
Oh, 1,000 frames per second. No. It needs 60,000 frames per second.
Put it this way, my frame counter is basically, it's calculating the time per frame in milliseconds. And if it's the lowest it can go to is 1, which makes it 1,000 frames per second. So yeah, it's super fast. That probably needs to be measured in nanoseconds now or something.
Oh yeah, that's super good.
Very responsive and very fast to load as well.
Yeah.
Which exactly is the thing that you kind of really is a must-have. Otherwise, this wouldn't be that useful a product, would it?
Yeah.
It's got to be as performant, lightweight, and as to make it that like, right, you go, I won't even think about you, because you'll be like still waiting for Maya to load 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Whereas you just want to be like, bang, oh, there it is. That's exactly the model I needed.
Yeah, and also keeping things simple as possible as well, because this is going to be used by supervisors and lead artists and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, sure.
For review stuff and making it load fast and look accurate, and they can also throw in different light probes and stuff like that. And then, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing review tool. Actually, I think that this has the potential to take off a lot. To be honest.
I hope so. Yeah, it's. I mean, the thing is, I've talked to people about it over the last couple of years, and in many cases, you start to talk about it, and they're like, I don't know what this could be used for, and then you explain it a bit more in more detail, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, wait, why doesn't this exist?
Yeah. It's one of those tools,
Well, because it was very, very hard to do until relatively recently because of USD, really, wasn't it?
It certainly helps, yeah. Although I think the first version that I wrote, I actually wrote my own like mini OpenGL engine. But yeah, this is much nicer. But the thing is also, if you start developing something like that and you're going to spend some time doing it, and you find that nothing else like that really exists on the market, you also start questioning yourself, is this actually a good idea? Because if it is a good idea, why didn't anybody else do it?
Yeah. Yeah, if it could exist, why doesn't it exist already? So you're second guessing yourself, yeah.
But to be fair, if I look at some of the plugins that I wrote before, it wouldn't be the first time. If you look at Xout Radio or Infinimap, it's the same thing.
Yeah, people are screaming out for it. Why doesn't it exist? Well, because no one had solved it before.